Heartwarming journey, how a cold billionaire discovered incredible love through an unexpected source. William Hart walked through the glittering streets of downtown, his ice-cold demeanor standing in stark contrast to the warmth buzzing all around him. Skyscrapers towered above, gleaming with success. But here he was, a billionaire at 45, feeling emptier than the hollow echo of his own mansion. The laughter of locals echoed through the air, voices tinged with joy as they thrived in their small businesses and vibrant community. Behind his tailored suits and luxurious car, his heart was frozen, a chasm left by family dinners missed and holiday gatherings shrouded in silence. On the other side of town, Sarah Thompson woke up before the sun. The scent of fresh flowers filled her little shop, which was more than just a place to buy bouquets, it was a community hub bursting with laughter and love. As she arranged blooms with delicate hands, her son painted at a nearby table, dreaming of sharing his art with the world. Each morning was a struggle, balancing two jobs, yet each shared smile with her son made it worthwhile. To Sarah, life poured meaning and connection into her heart. When William's estranged mother suddenly fell ill, he begrudgingly returned to her opulent but empty home in the gated community. As he moved through the sterile halls, memories of parental disconnect loomed. That's when he met Sarah, organizing a charity fundraiser for the local hospital. Her sunny disposition struck him, igniting unwelcome curiosity. She radiated warmth, effortlessly connecting with those around her, a stark reminder of everything he lacked. "You need to help us," Sarah exclaimed as their eyes met, her unyielding spirit disarming him. "Our community desperately needs support." In that moment, William felt a flicker of something. Could it be hope? He was drawn into her world filled with color and laughter, yet uncertainty loomed like a storm cloud overhead. Witnessing Sarah's commitment stirred unease within him. His world of wealth felt suffocating and cold, while her vibrant life taught him what love and togetherness felt like. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As their collaboration blossomed, William found himself laughing in the moments of chaos at the fundraiser, a smile breaking through his well-practiced stoicism. Yet, doubts haunted him like shadows at dusk, growing heavier when he saw the challenges Sarah faced, a financial strain too familiar to him, showing a side of life he'd always turned away from. Just as he allowed himself to dream of a connection deeper than wealth, a shocking miscommunication erupted. Words exchanged during heated moments turned into a chasm, threatening to rip their burgeoning relationship apart. William stood at the precipice now, facing the weight of privilege and doubt. Would he turn away, retreating into the cold comfort of his money? Or step forward into feelings and connections he had long buried? As the tension hung thick in the air, the question lingered, could he embrace a love that seemed impossible? William stood frozen, the weight of his decisions pressing down like a heavy storm cloud. Every nerve in his body screamed at him to retreat. He had built a fortress of wealth around himself, a barrier against pain and vulnerability. Now here he was, confronting feelings that threatened to topple the careful walls he deconstructed. Across from him, Sarah's expression darkened, her disappointment evident. The humor from moments earlier faded, replaced by a thick tension. "William, you don't understand," she said, her voice breaking slightly. "This isn't just about money. It's about people, our community. These are real lives at stake." He could see her frustration bubbling beneath the surface, and his heart ached for her passion. Yet a part of him wanted to defend his position, to hide behind the easy excuse of wealth and success. But he couldn't shake off the undeniable pull he felt towards her. As he searched her eyes, something within him stirred. "I do understand," he replied, struggling to find the right words. "It's just, I've never had to think about these things. My life has always been different." "Different how?" she pressed, her blue eyes shimmering with a mix of anger and concern. "You think money can fix everything? I had dreams too, you know. But reality has a way of suffocating hope. I may run this flower shop, but my world isn't filled with beautiful blooms. It's filled with bills that never end. All I'm trying to do is make a difference. Can't you see that?" Her words cut deep. A reality he pretended didn't exist unfolded before him, raw and vivid. He had overlooked the struggles faced by those without a safety net. Struggling families like Sarah's fought every day to simply stay afloat, and he had turned a blind eye out of indifference or fear. But the flickering warmth he felt while working alongside her challenged him to rethink everything. William took a deep breath, grounding himself amidst the turmoil. "You're right. I'm where I am because I worked hard, but maybe I took the wrong message from that. Maybe it's not just about me succeeding, it's about using that to uplift others." Her brows knitted together, and for a moment, silence enveloped them. Then, a hint of vulnerability broke through. "You have the power to help, William. But I need to know you're committed to this, not just to me, but to them." Her words hung there, pregnant with unspoken possibilities. Would he truly take a step beyond his wealth? Was he willing to embrace the messiness of human connection? "I want to help," he said quietly. "I don't just want your trust. I want to earn it." As a cautious smile crept over her face, he realized this was more than a moment of connection, it was a turning point. Together they might face the challenges ahead, not without obstacles but with the hope that perhaps love, which shouldn't be so hard to grasp, was never meant to be separate from care and community. But just as an air of possibility began to settle, William received an unexpected call that altered everything. His mother, now critical in the hospital, needed him. "William," Sarah began, sensing the weight of impending news. The worry etched across her features. He looked between Sarah and the phone, the decision looming ahead. Could he balance the demands of family with the burgeoning relationship that had unexpectedly blossomed? As thoughts raced in his mind, he knew this could either forge a bond or force him back into the cold space he had fought so hard to escape. How could he choose, when both paths, cold and warm, tugged at his heart? William glanced at the phone, its shrill ring cutting through the tension in the room like a knife. Time seemed to stall as he weighed his options. The familiar grip of panic tightened around him. He thought about his mother, frail and alone in a hospital bed, and the years of guilt that he carried for not visiting enough. She had raised him alone, and now he felt he might lose her. But in that moment, he also felt the warmth radiating from Sarah, who stood there vulnerable yet strong, expecting his decision. "Will you be okay if I take this?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. He desperately wanted to comfort her, to let her know he was right there with her even in this swirling storm of emotions. "Go," she said softly, her expression flickering with a blend of understanding and disappointment. "You need to answer." He nodded, the sound of his own heart pounding in his ears as he took a step back. The weight of the call swallowed him whole. He turned away from her, staring at the screen that held the name of the woman who had given him everything. He swiped the green button and pressed the phone to his ear. "Mom?" His voice cracked. "What's going on?" Her voice, thin and shaky, reverberated through the line. "William, honey, I'm sorry to worry you. The doctors say I need you here." Panic washed over him, a cold wave crashing against his newly discovered warmth with Sarah. Both his mother's vulnerability and Sarah's passion coiled around his mind, complicating his every thought. He felt torn between two lives, one that felt like a duty and another that promised connection. "Mom, I'll be there as soon as I can," he replied, the anxiety in his voice betraying the calm he tried to present. "Hurry," she whispered, and the call ended with the soft click of the line going dead, leaving him staring into the void. He turned back to Sarah, whose vibrant energy now seemed dimmed. The light in her eyes flickered as uncertainty danced across her features. "What happened?" she asked, her voice steady but edged with worry. "My mom, she's in the hospital. It's not good." He felt an ache in his chest, a heaviness he couldn't shake off. "I'm so sorry," Sarah replied, her eyes softening. She stepped closer, reaching out but then hesitating, as though unsure whether to breach the space between them. "You need to be there for her." "I know," he admitted, the reality weighing on his shoulders like lead. "But I don't want to leave things like this between us. We were making progress." "Sometimes life throws curveballs that we can't control," she said softly, sensing the turbulence of his thoughts. You have to do what's right for you and your family. That's important. Her understanding was a bittersweet comfort. Yet, while he yearned to embrace her, the gnawing feeling that he was stepping back from something vital crept in. They had just begun to explore the depths of their connection, only to risk losing it at the most critical moment. What if being there changes everything? He murmured, running a hand through his hair in frustration. I could get lost in everything again. That detachment, I could lose you. You won't lose me if you don't want to, Sarah assured him. Just because you step away doesn't mean you can't come back. It's not an end, it's just a pause. He felt her words wrap around him, offering a fragile strength. But the uncertainty loomed large, drowning the fragile hope he had begun to hold. Promise me, you'll stay focused on what truly matters, he urged, taking a small step toward her. I promise, she said, her voice steady, even as a flicker of concern danced in her eyes. With a last lingering gaze, he turned to leave, but the warmth of her presence kept pulling him back, even as shadows of doubt crowded his mind. As he stepped out of the door, the weight of choice pressed heavy on his heart. Would his journey be marked by love, or by the fears that had always held him captive? Outside, he felt the chill of the evening air, the world spinning in a blur as he headed toward his car. And just as he reached for the door, his phone buzzed again. This time a text from Sarah, I'll be here, waiting. No matter what. A glimmer of hope pierced through his confusion. But a moment later, his stomach dropped at the thought of what he was returning to. Could love survive in the face of familial obligations? William fumbled with his keys as the engine roared to life. The hum of the car offered a brief reprieve from reality, a momentary distraction. But as he pulled out of the parking lot, the real world crashed back in, dragging his thoughts from Sarah's warmth to the sterile, cold atmosphere of the hospital. His heart raced, and thoughts spiraled with each red light he faced. Images of his mother flickered through his mind. He recalled her laughter, the way her voice used to soothe him, and the memories of her comforting him during tough times. He couldn't shake the feeling of impending loss. As he entered the main road, the night sky loomed above him, deep and vast, mirroring the uncertainty swelling in his chest. He arrived at the hospital, his stomach twisted in knots. The fluorescent lights felt too harsh against the tension simmering beneath his skin. Each step toward the reception desk felt like a mile. William. Room 302, the nurse said, her voice calm yet distant, as if she were floating in a different world devoid of his fears. Thanks, he replied, forcing a smile that felt foreign. Elevator doors slid open, and he stepped inside, alone with his racing heart. The numbers above ticked upward, each one echoing like a countdown. As the doors opened on the third floor, he stepped into the long, sterile hallway. The walls felt too white, too clinical, and he took in a deep breath, steeling himself for what waited ahead. He approached his mother's room, an invisible weight pulling him back. With trembling hands, he pushed the door open. The sight of her frail form lying in the hospital bed struck him like a punch to the gut. She was so small beneath the heavy blankets, her once vibrant spirit dimmed under the fluorescent lights. Machines beeped softly beside her, a heartbreaking melody of hospital life. Mom? He barely managed to say, his voice cracking. Her head turned slowly, her eyes fluttering open. When she saw him, a smile flickered on her lips, aching but beautiful. Will? She whispered, a ghost of her former self. Yeah, I'm here. I'm so sorry I didn't come sooner. He rushed to her side, holding her hand, the frailness of it sending a shiver through him. He wanted to absorb her strength, to be her son once more, not just the boy riddled with guilt. Don't apologize. I know you've been busy. Her voice was soft but held an unmistakable warmth. I should have been here more, he said, his voice breaking. Tears pricked the corners of his eyes, threatening to spill. I'm so scared, Mom. Me too, she confessed, her brow furrowed. But we're not in this alone. William felt his heart constrict. The weight of everything, his mother's illness, Sarah's love pressed against his chest like an unbearable burden. You're going to get better, right? He asked, the desperate note in his voice revealing his true fear. I don't know, she murmured. But I want you to promise me something. What? Don't lose yourself while taking care of me, she whispered, her eyes searching his. You need to take care of your own heart, too. Those words echoed in his mind, juxtaposing the reality he faced. There was a flicker of connection both to his mother and to Sarah that he couldn't ignore. The reminder of love outside the sterile walls pulled at him, yet he felt anchored here, needing to nurture this bond. "I promise, Mom," he whispered, yet doubt not at him. What might he lose in keeping that promise? As they sat in silence, he clutched her hand tighter, filled with a bittersweet determination. Deep down, he feared where this path might lead. But one thing was clear: he couldn't let fear guide him anymore. He needed to embrace love, face challenges, and find hope amid despair. With resolve, he reached for his phone, preparing to text Sarah. He opened a new message: "I'm here. I'll keep you updated. I promise." But just as he pressed send, his mother's voice pierced the silence. "William, can you promise me one more thing?" "What is it?" he asked, looking deep into her eyes. "Don't forget to love, no matter how hard it gets." The words washed over him like a balm, an unexpected clarity piercing through the fog of his anxiety. Would he be able to hold on to that promise? Would he discover the strength to bridge the divide between his past and his longing for a future filled with love? His phone buzzed again, a new message coming in. But the world around him felt suspended in that moment, heart racing at the thought of what lay ahead, both in the hospital room and outside those walls. Was he ready to confront the challenges of love and loss in equal measure? William drew in a shaky breath, his mother's words hanging in the air like an anchor. He could hardly wrap his mind around the weight they carried. Don't forget to love. It felt like both a plea and a challenge, a reminder of all the connections that still existed outside this room. His phone buzzed again, rousing him from his thoughts. It was Sarah. Her message was simple, but it ignited a spark of warmth in the hollow confines of his chest. "Thinking of you. Let me know if you need anything." The sincerity behind her words washed over him, comforting yet overwhelming. He hesitated, fingers hovering above the screen. What could he say that encapsulated the turmoil whirling around him? But as he glanced back at his mother, her eyes pleading for his attention, he dropped his phone onto the blanket. This moment was for her. "How are you feeling, Mom?" he asked gently, willing his voice to remain steady. "Better when you're here," she replied, a small sparkle returning to her eyes. "Just a little tired. They keep poking at me, but I'm tough." He chuckled softly, a mix of anxiety and affection bubbling to the surface. "You've always been tough. Taught me that, remember?" She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. William felt a wave of emotion crest as he observed the different shades of love they had shared, ranging from the laughter of childhood to the gravity of adulthood. He brushed his thumb over the back of her hand, trying to convey a million things without words. "Tell me about Sarah," she said suddenly, her tone shifting. She wanted a piece of the outside world, a glimpse of the life beyond these walls. William paused, caught off guard. Why had he waited so long to share this part of his life? The beautiful, messy sentiment of love. She's amazing, Mom. She makes everything feel lighter." "Lighter?" His mother's interest peaked, her fingers flexing as if eager to curl around the threads of his story. "Yeah. I don't know how she does it. When I'm with her, I forget about the hospital and everything else. It just feels good, you know?" His mother nodded slowly. "You deserve that. Don't forget to embrace those moments." Just then, the door creaked open, and a nurse stepped in with a bright smile. "Hey, Mrs. Peterson. How are we feeling today?" The interruption felt like a lifeline. William felt a surge of gratitude toward the nurse for her cheerful spirit. For a moment, the heavy atmosphere lightened as his mother exchanged pleasantries about her day with the nurse. It was a small yet important moment, a reminder that life continued outside their bubble, that connections persisted. "William, why don't you grab some coffee? You look exhausted," his mother suggested when the nurse left. "But I don't want to leave you alone," he protested, worry creasing his brow. "I'm fine. Really. It might do you some good to step out for a minute." Her voice was gentle yet firm, as if she understood his needs better than he did. He sighed, recognizing the truth in her words. Okay. 10 minutes. As he stood, he reached for her hand one last time. I'll be right back. Walking down the sterile hallway, he felt the clamor of questions flooding back in. Would he text Sarah again? Would she be there for him if he needed her? He needed to decide if he could embrace that spark of love she offered, knowing the weight of responsibility pressing him down. At the coffee shop, he ordered a black coffee and tried to quiet the storm inside. He could see if Sarah was free to talk later, maybe meet up. Wouldn't that be good? The thought brightened his mood, but as he glanced at the hospital entrance, unease settled in. He needed both his mother's love and Sarah's in his life. Could he balance this? Could he manage the fear of loss while still inviting new love? William's phone buzzed again. It was Sarah, just thinking of you. Can't wait to hear from you. He opened his heart, letting the warmth of her words wash over him. But a knot tightened in his chest. He needed to respond, but he also had a duty to his mother. The duality of his situation, a loving son fighting against time, and a young man longing for love, weighed heavily on him. As he turned back toward the hallway leading to his mother's room, a thought lingered in his mind. Did love mean sacrifice? And if so, what would he risk to keep both his mother and Sarah in his life? Each step he took towards room 302 felt heavier than the last, as the question loomed larger, demanding an answer. What if his decision tore him apart? The corridor felt endless as William walked back to his mother's room, each step echoing the weight of his thoughts. He could hear muffled conversations and the distant beeping of machines, but none of it penetrated the haze of confusion surrounding him. Love was supposed to lift you up, yet here he was, feeling like he was caught in a tug-of-war between two worlds. As he stood outside room 302, he wiped his palms on his jeans, nerves jittering like insects in his stomach. Taking a deep breath, he pushed the door open. The sight of his mother sitting up in bed, propped against her pillows, instilled a familiar warmth within him. She looked small, fragile, yet her spirit remained unwavering. "Hey, I'm back," he said, a little too brightly. "Oh good, you brought back the coffee?" she teased, her eyes sparkling with mischief despite the challenges she faced. Well, actually just kidding. You know I don't really like coffee," she laughed, and for a moment, William's heart soared. It was a bubble of joy that allowed him to forget the fear creeping in on the edges. Sinking into the chair beside her bed, he watched as she settled more comfortably, her face softening into earnestness. "So, what did you decide? Is Sarah still in the picture?" He shifted uncomfortably, the question probing at the tension in the room. I think so." His mother leaned in, the intensity of her gaze unwavering. "You think so?" William ran a hand through his hair, letting out a shaky breath. "It's complicated, Mom. I love spending time with her, but I don't know if I can." His voice trailed off as he struggled to articulate the anxiety tearing through him. "I don't want you to feel guilty, sweetheart. That's not love. Love is meant to be freeing. It gives you the strength to face hard times," she replied softly, her gaze penetrating. "You don't have to carry all this on your own." The sincerity in her words sliced through his turbulence, making him feel vulnerable yet understood. "It's just, I can't shake the feeling that I'm letting someone down. And it's hard to think about anything other than you." Her expression softened, and she placed her hand on his. "If you keep worrying about me, you might miss the chance to create your own happiness. I want to see you thrive." Each word felt like a small sigh of relief, yet another layer of weight pressed on him. Could he really allow himself to love Sarah without feeling like he was abandoning his mother? "Will you be okay?" he asked, searching her eyes for reassurance. "Honey, I'm tougher than I look. You go and love, even if it scares you. You have my blessing." Taking a deep breath, William held her gaze, feeling a rush of love. How could this woman, fragile in body but fierce in spirit, have so much faith in him? This moment struck him like a revelation. Perhaps love meant navigating through the storm, trusting that the anchors they deformed wouldn't snap. Just as he was about to speak, the door swung open again, and a doctor stepped in, glancing over the charts. Mrs. Peterson. Ready for another round of tests? I promise they won't hurt too much." William felt a pang of interruption, just when he was beginning to untangle his feelings. "Just give me a minute, Doc," his mother said, eyes darting between the doctor and William. "Of course, just let me know when you're ready." He quickly made eye contact with his mother. "I'll go clear my head. Maybe grab that coffee." "William," she called softly as he turned to leave, "don't forget to love." He nodded, but his mind was racing with new thoughts. As he walked down the hallway again, the echo of footsteps reminded him of all the promises he had to uphold, not just to others but to himself. The tension in his chest was still present, but something had shifted. Despite the fear, there was a glimmer of hope dancing through him. Maybe he could find a way forward with both love and responsibility intact. As he approached the elevator, his phone buzzed once more. It was a text from Sarah. "I'm here whenever you're ready. Let's talk." William hesitated, fingers hovering over the screen. Again. Could he take this step and see where it led? Was he brave enough to embrace both the love he craved and the obligations he felt? With his heart racing in anticipation, he took a deep inhale. The future loomed ahead, uncertain and sprawling. And then, just before he hit send, a sudden thought crossed his mind. What if embracing love was for his mother too? What if it was the key to healing them both? William hit the button to summon the elevator, resolve settling in. He knew he had to make a choice. The moment of truth was drawing near. The elevator doors slid open with a soft ding, and William stepped inside. He leaned against the cool metal wall, his thoughts swirling like leaves in the wind. He pressed the button for the ground floor, feeling the weight on his chest multiply as the elevator began its descent. What had his mother just given him? Permission? Freedom? He wasn't too sure, but it felt like he was finally breaking surface after holding his breath for too long. As the elevator glided silently down, he could hear the distant chatter of people in the main lobby. Each sound echoed his inner turmoil. With every passing second, the message from Sarah loomed larger in his mind. "I'm here whenever you're ready." The words seemed to mock him, urging him to stop delaying, to embrace something he both desired and feared. William stepped out of the elevator, his heart pounding. Beneath the harsh fluorescent lights of the lobby, he spotted familiar faces: nurses, patients, families waiting anxiously. One glance across the room drew his eyes to Sarah, seated at a small cafe table by the entrance. She was flipping through a magazine, but he could see that her gaze wandered now and then toward the door, as if she was expecting him. He took a tentative step forward, his body betraying him with every heartbeat echoing in his ears. This was it. His breath quickened. It felt so simple, yet so profoundly difficult. Love was complicated, but maybe his mother had been right. Maybe it was time to lean into it. Just before he approached her, doubt crept in like a shadow. What if Sarah had been waiting for too long? What if he had already ruined everything with his hesitation? Taking another deep breath, he steeled himself against the wall of his fears and walked over. "Hey," he said softly, unsure of his composure. Sarah looked up, and her face lit up with a smile that both warmed and shattered him all at once. "William. I was wondering if you'd come." "Yeah, sorry for the delay, it's been a day," he admitted, doing his best not to let the heaviness of his worries seep into his skin. "Do you want to sit?" she asked, patting the seat across from her. The kindness in her voice made his heart swell with a mix of hope and dread. As he sank into the chair, silence hovered between them for a moment. Then, Sarah spoke again, leaning forward, her eyes searching his. "I know things have been tough for you lately. I didn't want to push, but I really like you, William." Her honesty cut through him. Despite the uncertainty of everything else, her words were a lifeline. Wanting to match her sincerity, he steeled himself for what he needed to say. "I'm trying to figure things out, about us. About what's going on with my mom." "Thank you for being honest," she said gently, and a small understanding smile tugged at her lips. "Love isn't easy, is it?" "No," he said with a shaky chuckle, letting out a breath he didn't realize he had been holding. "But it's worth it, right?" "Absolutely." Just then, the hospital intercom announced another doctor's call, and William's heart sank momentarily, remembering his mother and the uncertainty of their situation. It felt as if the world outside were crashing down on their fragile moment. "William," Sarah's voice broke through his thoughts, "whatever you're dealing with, I'm here for you." Just tell me how I can help. He looked up, meeting her gaze, and something shifted. It was like a flicker of light in the darkness. This time, it was not just about feeling torn. He could embrace both aspects of his life, perhaps create a connection that allowed them to lift each other up. Let us start with the truth, he said, his voice steadying with newfound resolve. I want to be here, for you. And I need you to understand what has been going on with me. As he began to share everything, the worries, his mother's fight, his tangled emotions, a flood of relief surged through him. Outside, the world carried on, oblivious to their small but significant moment. For William, it felt monumental, but as he talked, tentative smiles began to cross Sarah's face, the warmth between them igniting brighter. Yet, an unsettling thought lingered at the back of his mind: how would she react when she heard the truth? Would it scare her away? The conversation flowed, but the question hung silently like an unwelcome guest. Would sharing his burdens bring them closer, or would it push her away? With his heart full yet uncertain, he glanced at her, prepared to unveil the intricate layers of his life. Sarah, he began slowly, the weight of his story pressing against his lips, there's something important I need to tell you. As the tension in his chest returned with full force, he couldn't help but wonder if revealing his truth would finally set him free or lead to a deeper entanglement of their lives, one he might not be ready for. What lay ahead could reshape everything he thought he understood about love. Sarah, he began slowly, gathering his thoughts like threads fraying at the edges, there is something important I need to tell you. He could feel the expectant silence between them, thick like the air before a storm. The way she tilted her head, her brow slightly furrowed, made his heart race faster. It stirred something raw and real in him. This wasn't just a casual coffee chat, it was more like standing at the edge of a cliff, ready to leap without knowing what awaited him below. I haven't been completely honest, William admitted, every word a careful step forward. My mom, she's really sick. It's been hard. I spend most of my days at the hospital. He paused, taking in the way Sarah's eyes widened, then softened. I'm juggling all that with trying to figure myself out, and honestly, I'm scared. There are days I feel like I'm drowning in uncertainty. Her face transformed, empathy blooming as she leaned in closer. That's a heavy load to carry. I can't imagine how tough that must be for you. He nodded, encouraged by her understanding. It's consuming me. I want to be here with you, but there are times when I feel completely lost. I don't want to pull you into the storm. William, Sarah said, her voice calm but firm, you're not dragging me into anything. You're inviting me to be part of your journey. And I'd like to help, even if it's just by listening. You don't have to shoulder this alone. Her words wrapped around him like a warm blanket on a cold night. But then came the knot in his stomach. What if she really was only saying that? What if he opened up and she realized this was more than she bargained for? Are you sure? He asked, almost pleadingly. I understand if it's too much. I'm sure, she replied without hesitation, her sincerity radiating in the small space between them. But I need you to trust me. Let me in, William. We can figure this out together. The flicker of hope in him felt like a match striking in darkness. Suddenly, the weight on his chest eased a bit. Sharing his burdens felt terrifying, but for the first time, he could see how it could also be freeing. Okay. I'll try, he said, his voice steadying as they locked eyes. The hours flowed like a gentle river after that. William opened up more and more, layering his truth with nuances of his fears, the way grief felt like an unwelcome guest in his heart, and how lonely it was to face it alone. With every confession, he felt lighter, as if the shadows that clung to him were slowly dissipating in the daylight of Sarah's understanding. As their conversation meandered, laughter slipped in like a sunbeam piercing through clouds. They started sharing stories about their childhood's awkward crushes and embarrassing moments, growing up and trying to make sense of a world that often made little sense. His laughter felt like a balm to his soul, stirring a warmth he hadn't realized he so desperately needed. When he finally revealed a cherished memory of his mother, a time she had comforted him after a tough loss, Sarah listened, her eyes shining with compassion as she held his hand. That's beautiful, she said earnestly. She sounds like an incredible woman. Just then, the hospital intercom interrupted their moment, broadcasting another call, reminding William of the harsh reality waiting just outside their bubble. The thought pulled him back, and anxiety swelled in his chest once more. "William," Sarah said, breaking through his spiraling thoughts, "are you okay?" His heart fluttered at her genuine concern. It felt surreal. After everything, she was here with him. "Yeah, I worry about my mom a lot. It's kind of overwhelming. Do you want to take a little break?" "We could grab some coffee from the cafe," she suggested, her smile warm and inviting. "Sure," he replied, grateful for her lightheartedness. But as they stood to leave, his phone buzzed insistently in his pocket, pulling him back into reality. It was a message from the hospital. His heart sank. "I might need to take this," he said, pulling out the phone and glancing at the screen. His breath hitched. The message from the hospital was clear. His mother's condition had taken a turn. "Is everything okay?" Sarah's voice pierced his fog. He looked at her, feeling panic and fear bubbling inside. What now? Would this push her away? The warmth of earlier faded like smoke in the wind. He was about to step back into a storm, but this time, with someone else at his side. "I don't know," he replied, a lump in his throat. "But I'll need you more than ever right now." As hope battled doubt inside him, he knew what was coming next could change everything they'd started to build together. Would Sarah be willing to face the chaos with him? The uncertainty gnawed at him, but there was only one way to find out. His next step could either shatter their bond or fortify it. And as he prepared to leave the cafe, he couldn't shake the feeling that whatever lay ahead might rewrite both their stories forever. William's hands shook slightly as he pocketed his phone. Instinctively, he searched Sarah's face for an indication of how she would react to the news. Her expression was a mixture of concern and determination, a reminder that he wasn't heading into the storm alone. "Let us go," he said, his voice steadier than he felt. Together, they stepped into the crisp air, the cafe's warm glow receding behind them. The weight of uncertainty hovered close, but Sarah walked beside him, her presence like a soothing balm against the chill creeping into his bones. "What does it say?" she asked gently, her rhythm matching his as they moved through the busy street. They said her condition has worsened. They want me to come in." His heart raced again, and each step felt heavier, thick with dread. "I'm sorry." Her voice was soft, but there was strength in it, too. "Do you want me to come with you?" The question made his heart leap. The thought of having her there, right next to him in that sterile hospital environment, filled him with a mix of gratitude and apprehension. "Would you?" "I mean, I don't want to put you in a situation like that." "William," she replied, stopping him, her eyes locking onto his with an undeniable intensity, "I want to be there for you. You don't have to face this alone." The sincerity in her voice eased a fraction of his tension. "Okay, let us do this." He reached for her hand, interlocking their fingers. It felt right. He squeezed gently, feeling a spark of courage as they continued walking. Once they reached the hospital, the familiar sterile smell hit him like a wave. The anxiety from earlier began to creep back in, but Sarah stayed close, whispering reassuring words as they approached the nurse's station. He could feel her warmth cutting through the cold reality of the sterile walls. After a brief wait, they were led to his mother's room. The hospital bed loomed large in the bright, fluorescent light. His mom appeared fragile, small under the sheets, connected to a tangle of tubes. The sight twisted his heart. "Hey, Mom," he managed, his voice cracking slightly. He stepped closer, squeezing Sarah's hand tighter. "I'm here," she whispered, her presence grounding him even as worry flooded him. "William, is that you?" His mother's voice was faint, but her spirit shone through. It brought back memories of strength, her laughter, her resilience. "It's me," he said, trying to hold on to the hope he'd felt earlier. "I brought someone special." "Hello," Sarah said softly, her voice warm and inviting. She stepped forward, a smile on her face that felt like sunlight. His mother blinked slowly, taking in Sarah's gentle demeanor, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "You're lovely, dear. Thank you for being here." He watched as Sarah interacted with his mom, her kindness radiating in the room. It was a bittersweet moment, the kind where joy and pain intertwined. William felt a mixture of pride and vulnerability. In that tiny room, he was reminded how important it was to surround himself with people who cared, people who wanted to help him through this. The conversation flowed between them, occasional laughter escaping even in the seriousness of the situation. For a moment, he allowed himself to forget about the impending storm and just breathe. As Sarah leaned in closer to his mother, sharing stories, he realized how much this connection meant. But just as his heart began to settle, the sharp beep of the monitor pulled him back to reality. Concentration faded from his mother's face. The warmth in the room shifted, cold creeping back in. He could feel the danger tinging the air, thick with fear. "Mom?" he said, his heart racing. "Are you okay?" Her expression changed, the worry in her eyes mirrored in his. For a split second, he feared everything they had just built was on the verge of crumbling. "If anything happens," she began, her voice weaker now. William's heart raced. "No, don't say that. We're going to get through this. Together." He looked at Sarah, who remained steadfast by his side, a silent pillar of support. Her eyes spoke volumes, filling the space with more than just words, the promise of understanding and solidarity. But as the nurse rushed in to assess the situation, panic clawed its way back into William's chest. Would this be the moment that changed everything again? He held on to Sarah's hand tighter, not ready to let go. "Not yet. Stay with me," he whispered to his mom, feeling the urgency of the moment. As he stood there, surrounded by uncertainty, the real question loomed heavy in the air: how much heartache could one person endure before it broke entirely? And would he find the strength to face whatever came next with Sarah by his side? In the dim light of the hospital room, a tense silence wrapped around them like a thick blanket. William's heart pounded. The earlier warmth was fading fast. He had her hand, but the beeping of the monitors felt like a countdown, urgent and cruel. "Stay with me, Mom," he whispered desperately, tightening his grip. He could feel Sarah's presence beside him, her calmness surged through the chaos, reminding him of the connection they stoked despite the storm. The nurse moved swiftly, assessing his mother's vital signs with a professional efficiency that felt both reassuring and terrifying. William's breath caught when their eyes met, searching for answers. "Let's keep her comfortable," the nurse instructed, injecting a calm amidst the fear. William stole a glance at Sarah, who met his gaze with unwavering support, her eyes sparkling with a mix of empathy and strength. She said nothing, but he felt her harmony. It tethered him when he felt adrift. With a flick of her wrist, the nurse turned the machines down just a notch, easing the sounds that spiraled around them. "There you go," she said soothingly, "let us focus on stability for now." Minutes felt like hours. William's mother's breathing steadied, a soft sigh escaping her lips. In that moment, he felt the glimmer of hope reflecting back from Sarah. "It's okay," Sarah said softly, her thumb brushing over the back of his hand. "You've got this. You're not alone, remember?" A new sense of determination surged through him. "I'm here," he replied, his voice resolute. "We're all here." Slowly, his mom's eyes fluttered open. "William and?" she asked, willing her voice to break through the fog. "Who is this lovely person?" "This is Sarah. She has been so supportive, Mom," he answered, unable to mask the pride in his voice. "You'd love her. I promise." His mother's eyes softened as they focused on Sarah. "Thank you for being by my son," she whispered, her voice fading but still wrapped in warmth. "Of course, Ma am. You're extraordinary." "We want you to be okay," Sarah replied, her heart shining through her words. It felt like a pivotal moment, understanding settling deep, a wall torn down. Maybe love could heal. For the first time, William allowed himself to believe in that possibility. He leaned closer, intertwining their fingers, Sarah's warmth imbuing him with fresh courage. "You said I need to love, Mom. You taught me that," he murmured, fresh determination lining his voice. There it was, the connection. Suddenly, all the fears and doubts began to dissipate. "Promise me you'll stay good to yourself, William," his mother whispered, the effort evident but her rallying spirit undeniable. "Don't let this sickness dim your heart." "It won't," he assured her, breathing deeply. In that moment, he realized she was right. Love was not just a burden, it was the buoy that could keep him afloat amid the chaos. Over the next few days, Sarah and William spent countless hours at the hospital, laughter and warmth threading through the solemn atmosphere. Updates came in waves, but they faced each moment together, weaving joy into the struggle. Each time he saw his mother smile, a little bit of the past began to melt away. Their shared stories, simple moments, and unwavering hope built bridges that he had thought were impossible. Sarah illuminated the path, guiding William not just toward acceptance but an active embrace of life and love. Finally, an afternoon came when his mother looked brighter somehow, her strength quietly blooming despite her ordeal. "You two are good for each other," she said with a smile that reached her tired eyes. "Thank you, Mom," William said, surprise surfacing in his heart. "We're trying to make the most of everything." A soft chuckle danced on his mother's lips. "Don't forget, love will always find a way. It's what you deserve." With a new trajectory ahead, William felt renewed strength bubble within him. The days merged, painting pictures of what could be. And when it came time to leave the hospital, William turned back for one last glance at his mom. "I'll be back soon, okay?" "Yes, dear," she nodded. As they moved toward the door, he reached for Sarah's hand again. "Let us build something new," he said, his voice steady, full of possibilities. Sarah beamed, her blue eyes shining like sunlight after a storm. "Together," she responded, her voice soft yet filled with unwavering promise. The world might not be free from challenges, but they would embrace it together, loving, healing, and discovering a life full of unexpected joys. William stepped into the sunlight, filled with hope. Love was no longer just something he fought against. Instead, it had become the very thing that gave him strength to embrace the difficult yet beautiful complexity of life. As the final notes of their journey echoed through his heart, William felt a radiant smile spreading across his face. In that moment, everything transformed. He found not just love, but joy, hope, and a mutual support that anchored him forever. And if you felt this story resonate, if it touched something deep within you, this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation. Your support makes all the difference.